You don't have a porn problem, you have a pain problem. And porn is the pill that you use to manage the pain of life, the pain of relationships, the pain of stress, all the pain that we go through on a daily basis.
All right, brothers, here we go.
What's up, bro? Matt, good to see you, man.
Yeadon, good to see you. Good to see you, brother. Brothers, welcome to the next episode of the Porn to Purpose podcast. Honored to be here with you, man, today. Honored to be here with you today, Yeadon.
I'm nervous. I'm nervous about today.
Oh,
bro.
man, we got a juicy one today.
This is raw and real, right? I love in our show notes is like, hey, this might be the most terrifying episode you'll ever hear, but also the most important. Dude, we got,
Yes, sir.
I mean, we talk about porn every week, but this is next level emotional work for me on this topic. What are we talking about today?
Man, today we are digging into the juicy conversation of how to talk to your wife about porn without destroying your marriage.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah.
Heads up, disclaimers. Matt and I are not therapists. We're not licensed professionals. We just coach men in recovery. So take what we're talking about today and use it wisely. What we're talking about here, this is the cutting edge. And I don't want to say cutting edge, like cutting edge technology. Like, dude, this is where it gets real. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is where you have to approach this with the right mindset, with the right attitude, with the right emotional state, with the right work that you're doing to navigate this conversation successfully.
Yeah.
I have done this. I have talked with my wife about my porn addiction, and I'm going to be sharing my story, lessons I've learned along the recovery journey, and offer to you, listener out there, what do you need? How do you prepare for this conversation?
Yeah.
Because pornography is the kind of thing that can destroy your marriage. And if you're not taking it seriously, even if you have this conversation, you can blow it up.
Yep.
This conversation can blow things up just as easily as it can start the healing process.
Yeah.
So be cautious and wise as you navigate this in your own life. Let me say that very clearly. I don't want to get an email from somebody who's, I listened to the podcast. I told my wife I have a porn addiction and she left me. I'm like, is that all the conversation you had? Because that's not what we talked about, bro.
Yes.
So and I'm going to lead this one because Matt is not married yet, but has been in long-term relationships, has had these types of conversations. Yeah. But he asked me to take the lead on this because I'm coming up on 20 years marriage, and I have over 2 years of sobriety from porn. I also have 4 children, and I talk about this with my kids, and they can do the math. And they're like, wait, what? 800 plus days, and you've been, what? Dad! I'm like, bro, I was trapped. I was trapped in my addiction for decades, and now I'm on the path to freedom and recovery. So, having said all our disclaimers, our core message today, what I want you to take away is you do not have to hide in shame forever. Hiding in the shame, in the fear, in the guilt, it only makes things worse and adds fuel to the addiction. Like we've talked about on previous episodes, you don't have a porn problem, you have a pain problem. And porn is the pill that you use to manage the pain of life, the pain of relationships, the pain of stress, right? All the pain that we go through on a daily basis with the boss, with the company, with the coworker, with the wife, with the kids, with your father-in-law, with your parents, with your brother, all those emotional bumps and bruises that happen on the daily. We use porn as the aspirin to manage the pain. The problem is it almost works. It almost works. It pushes all the pain aside for just a moment, and then we're right back where we started, but worse. So you don't have to hide in this shame forever. You can open up honestly, And I have my notes, so when I'm looking down, I'm reading my notes because this is important stuff, and I don't want to screw it up. You can open up honestly, humbly, and powerfully, and begin the process, which is a long process. This is a long process. This is not. You're not going to fix this overnight, bro. I haven't. You can begin this long process of rebuilding trust with your spouse. It starts with owning your truth.
Yep.
Owning your truth, right? For me, the truth was I was addicted to porn. I could not stop. I knew I didn't want to do it. I knew it was damaging my relationship with my wife. I knew it was damaging how I showed up for my wife, how I showed up for my kids, just how I showed up. It was damaging all of that. And I could not stop. The tools I was given of guilt, fear, shame, and stay away, just stop. We all know those tools don't work, right? You ever tried to drive a nail with a piece of dog shit? It doesn't work. It's painful, and you're messier when you finish than when you got started. That's the equivalent of just, you know what, I'm just going to stop. That doesn't work without doing the internal work of understanding what is the pain that I'm using porn to manage, and figuring out how to manage that pain differently and healthily, in healthy ways. So, a couple of things. For me, I did not have this conversation. Well, actually, that's not true. I had sort of conversations a couple times in my relationship. I had a conversation with my wife before we got married, after we were engaged, and like, hey, babe, dude, that was a terrifying conversation. I said, hey, I've, growing up in the Christian church, in the church with, I was in full-time youth ministry at the time when we were engaged. I was like, I've struggled with pornography since I was, 10, 8. Had the conversation with my wife, talking about that. Tearful conversation. And, I was afraid. She's like, oh, I don't want to marry you. It's like, that didn't happen. So we got married. And then, of course, me thinking, oh, now that I'm married, I get to have sex with my wife anytime I want, so porn is not going to be an issue. We've busted the myth that porn is about a high sex drive.
Right.
So guess what? My porn use did not stop after I got married. There were brief times where, it's like, 30 days, 60 days. Like I would go stretches without using porn, but I would fall right back into it. Then I would I got caught a couple times over the course of my marriage where my wife found porn on my phone or somewhere I didn't cover my tracks well enough, got busted. We had, remorseful conversations where I wanted to change, but I didn't. I didn't have the tools. I didn't have the tools. I didn't know what to do. I was just trying to do more of what wasn't working. Getting another piece of dog crap and trying again. And nothing worked. I finally had a real honest conversation with my wife just last year, actually, after I had been in recovery for almost a year. Finally, I got to the place internally where I have to have this conversation with my wife about what's real for me with regard to porn. Let me say a couple things. The longer you wait to have this conversation, the more trust erodes. Because the relationship erodes, the trust erodes. Relationships can only go as far as the truth. They can't go any farther. And I had this part of me that I was keeping secret, partly for my own protection, because I didn't want to blow up my relationship. I was like, what is going on? I don't want to throw a grenade. It's like, oh, by the way, click, here's a grenade, throw it in the relationship, and it just explodes. So I recognized the severity of having this, how important and how critical, how critical this conversation was. And one thing I would say is you have to approach this conversation from a very specific perspective, from a very specific direction. When I had the conversation with the couple times I got busted by my wife, The only thing I was focused on is I need forgiveness. I need forgiveness to be okay with myself. I need her to say, I forgive you so I can feel better. But when I talked with my wife last year, it wasn't from that perspective. I wasn't looking for forgiveness to feel better. I was looking to show up 100% with myself because I knew the relationship was stuck at that point where the truth had stopped. It wasn't, I don't know that I would call it a lie of omission necessarily. I mean, some people might look at it and say, oh, you were lying because you weren't telling her everything. Like, it didn't feel like that. It felt like I was protecting the relationship. But then I realized I need to tell my wife what has really gone on with me for the past 19 years of our marriage so she knows who I am fully. So I can show up 100% with transparency, with authenticity, so that I can have the relationship that I want with my wife. Very important that you have this mindset when you have the conversation. If the mindset is, I need my wife to forgive me so I feel okay about myself, you're going to run into a brick wall because it's a painful conversation. There's going to be hurt and possibly anger and rage and bitterness, a sense of betrayal on your wife's part. So showing up for the conversation with the perspective that I want my wife to know who I am to the very fullness of what that means, with nothing held back, no secrets, no closets that I have locked, who I am fully as a man, and then let her respond. Let her respond. I'll give you a heads up. She knows something's off, right? My wife is extremely emotionally sensitive, extremely attuned with emotions. There have been times we've had a conversation like, oh, yeah, I was really frustrated with this. And she's like, I know, I can tell. You were stuck in the story in your head was playing. The emotions were rising up. I'm like, yeah, I thought I was hiding it. I'm like, oh, no, I'm fine. I'm just tired. She's like, no, you're not. You're not fine. You're not just tired. Something else is going on, but I'm not going to push. It really is about integrity, intimacy, and leadership, having this conversation. When we hold part of ourselves back, we don't have the fullness of the intimacy that we want in that relationship. What we want as men is to be fully seen and fully accepted with all of who we are, warts and all. Understanding that, hey, I recognize I have these issues with myself, and I am the one who is taking ownership of it, and I am the one who's going to do the work to navigate it and figure out how to be better. The conversation cannot be, hey, here's my problem, I need your help to fix it. Someone else, you can't fix an internal problem with external tools. They have to be on the inside. Matt, what you got, bro?
Yeah, man, I love where you're going with this. And on the conversation of truth, man, I have found, whether it be my intimate or romantic relationships or just my friendships or my family, the relationship I have found can only go as deep as the level at which I'm willing to be honest and truthful and transparent. And I think there's a balance there, because there are aspects of ourselves that we get to keep to ourselves. I don't think everyone in our lives is inherently, like, I don't think we're obligated to share every aspect of ourselves with everyone. But I do find, especially in our intimate relationships, if I'm holding back a piece of myself that might be important, then I'm holding back potential growth or potential deepness or potential intimacy within the relationship. So I think that's worth considering. And one thing I would just wanted to offer as you're sharing there, Yeadon, is I think this might transition us nicely into your next piece. But like, I think really considering like why you're telling her, as Yeadon said, one of my early teachers, I come through I went through a mindfulness training through my seminary, and so mindfulness counseling is what I'm certified in. And my teacher shared, like, if you're going to disclose, like, get clear on what that's about. As Yeadon spoke to, like, am I sharing because I need to feel better? Or is it really because I want to deepen the trust. I want to deepen the intimacy in the relationship, and I want her to know more of who I am. I think that's really important. And with that, bringing having a place to dump your truth, such as a community or a counselor, right? To kind of to have a dumping ground before you bring your truth, or the messiness of your story, I think could be really important. So that way, when you do bring it, it's coming from a clear place, not from a place of I just need an emotional dumping ground, and it's going to be you. It's going to be
Dude, that's
centered in
100%,
yeah,
100%. If you approach it from, I just need to dump this and get it off my chest so I feel
right,
better, bro, you just
yeah,
pulled a pin off a hand grenade and tossed it to your wife.
yeah, yeah,
If you're coming from a place of, I am holding part of me back in this relationship
mm-hmm.
and I'm unwilling to do it anymore. Now, if you just show up, it's like, oh, by the way, I've been addicted to porn for 20 years and I'm not doing anything about it. I just want you to know, make your decision on whether you want to stay with me or not. I'll tell you right now, bro, not a good plan. Not a good plan. Do not recommend. 0 stars. So in preparing for the conversation, like what Matt said, you have to get super clear on your why. Are you doing this because you are committed to becoming the most authentic, best version of yourself that's transparent, who shows up and can handle those tough emotions and can navigate the thoughts in your head with elasticity and resilience? Or are you showing up because you're just looking for another dopamine hit to feel better about yourself? For someone to tell you, it's like, I still love you, you're okay the way you are. Because let's be real, if you're addicted to porn, kind of not okay where you are. You got this unhealthy coping mechanism that is damaging relationships, damaging yourself. So you got to get clear on your why, for sure. Something else, don't wait until you get caught. That's not the time to have the conversation. The time to have the conversation is when you create space to have the conversation. Where it's like, hey, here's an example. Also, yeah, I'll give you the example. Hey, spouse. Hey, babe. Hey, dear. Hey, love. I need to share something with you that's really difficult for me to admit. I've been using porn. I've hidden it from you. I'm not proud of it. I want to be honest and transparent because I love you. I haven't been showing up 100%. I'm committed to healing myself. I'm committed to healing this relationship and rebuilding trust. When you're coming from that perspective, it puts you in a position of, hey, your spouse can recognize, oh, this man has recognized his issue, has owned the problem, and is taking responsibility for doing the work to heal himself first and then to heal this relationship. Now, be ready to take responsibility with zero blame shifting or justifying. If you find yourself thinking, well, if my wife put out more, I wouldn't have this issue. Bro, that's the nuclear option. That's throwing an extra hand grenade in the conversation. My porn addiction had nothing to do with my wife. Nothing to do with how often we had sex, the frequency, the intensity. It had nothing to do with any of that. It had 100% to do with how I handled the anxiety and stress and pain of regular life. That's what it was. But don't say, oh, it's just a guy thing. Well, it's not as bad as actually cheating, right? At least I'm not sleeping around. That will destroy any credibility and any trust just like that. Don't do it. Now, here's what to expect. Her pain is going to be real. Her pain is going to be real. Let her feel it. Let her feel it. This is not something that you can fix. Don't defend yourself. Don't try and fix it. Just hold the space Honestly, like, you got to absorb the lumps. You got to absorb the pain that happens in this conversation. You have to be able to handle it and let it dissipate instead of just reflecting it back on your wife. And you have to be aware, rebuilding trust takes time and consistency. I had an incident with my wife just a couple weeks ago, not about porn, but about something where I had bought something, I'd spent some money, and she said, I thought we talked about anything over this amount we were going to have a conversation about first. I'm like, oh crap, you're absolutely right. And I totally broke trust in this relationship. Now, it wasn't like a let's get divorced trust, but I recognized in that moment I have betrayed my wife because I said I would not do this and I did it. And in conversation, she found out, didn't go, she was in pain. She had feelings of anger, betrayal, frustration, fear. I cannot trust my husband. And I had to own that. And in this conversation, because I've been doing the work now for 2 years, it was, you know what? I screwed up and I own it. But I know how to rebuild trust. And that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to show up, do what I say what I mean, and show up. So as you're having this conversation, be very aware. You have to give her time. Do not force quick forgiveness. Don't force forgiveness at all. Just continue to show up. Demonstrate that you are doing the work to heal yourself. Offer accountability, right? Let her know this is the framework I'm putting in place. I've had a conversation with Luke last year, like, I've been in this program now. This is what it looks like. This is what we do. These are the books I'm reading. This is what I'm doing for myself to grow beyond the porn, to go from porn to purpose. Hey-o, to go from porn to purpose, to build liberation and freedom in my life. You don't need her to believe in you right now. All you have to do is become the man who's worth believing in. Demonstrate through your words and actions that you are doing the work, that you're doing what you say you're going to do. Couple things that I want to jump off from what Matt said just a minute ago, right? Bro, your wife is not your emotional dumping ground. Once you've had this conversation, get in a community. Surround yourself with men who are safe, who are doing the work. Whether it's about porn or whatever, get around men that you can have these honest conversations with, to where when you're feeling triggered, you can reach out to somebody like, hey, bro, that addict is screaming at me today. I got in an argument with my wife, and now I just want to act out. I want to go to the computer, type in a website, and I know I'm going to get a dopamine hit there. I also know that's not in integrity. That's not actually what I want to do, but my brain is screaming, I need dopamine right now, and I want to go get it. Get in a recovery program. Get in a community. Get in something where you have the space to be seen and heard that is safe. As we talk about a lot, shame dies when stories are told in safe spaces. If you set up accountability software on your tech stack, on your computers, on your iPad, on your phone, right? Give her access. Let her see what's going on. So I tell you, whatever's going on in her mind is going to be worse than reality, right? Don't try and hide what you're doing. If you screw up, own it. Like, yep, I had a mistake. I reset. I'm back at day zero. This is what I learned. This is what I'm doing to be better next time. This is what I'm doing to grow. Let her see your actions. Actions speak louder than words. Talk is cheap, real cheap. Actions are going to show that you're taking this seriously and that you're doing the work. Invite her to participate, right? Maybe you have a conversation once a week. Maybe you have a midweek huddle, weekend huddle, where you're like, hey, this is what I'm doing in my recovery. This is what I'm reading. This is the inner work that I'm doing. Let her in to see what is the work that you're doing to actively recover from this addiction. Never put any pressure on her. That's bad. Bad, 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 bad. If if you feel like you're putting pressure on, if she feels like you're putting pressure on her, it's going to cause more hurt. Bring it.
Thank you, brother. Beautiful shares, man. And I know we're kind of like drawing close
Yeah.
to closing here. I just a couple thoughts that came up for me as you're sharing here today. A couple notes I took down. I think it speaks to the like overall arching theme of what we're hitting here today. If it feels like a good time to share, I'd love to touch on a
Yeah,
couple
dude.
things.
Bring it
Okay,
on, bro.
cool. Yeah, I think, and this is going to hit on some of the stuff that you've already hit on, Yeadon. But like taking as you do, or if you choose to share here, brothers, like taking 100% responsibility, and offering no blame, like, hey, I'm doing this, but it's because our sex life isn't where I need it to be, or because you're not emotionally available. Like, if you come at this from a place of blame and you're not taking 100% responsibility, she's going to dig in, she's going to dig her heels in, and she's going to get defensive. She's going to close down on this conversation. She's going to want to attack back. That's going to be her instinct to defend. So take 100% responsibility. And as Yeadon touched on today, brothers, like take 100% responsibility for doing the work. I recommend, like, but maybe even before you share, do some due diligence. Like how much more different would it be if for you to come to her and say, hey, I've got this problem and I don't know what to do about it, right? Versus coming to her, hey, I've got this problem and I've already taken proactive action. I've joined a
Yes.
community. I've
Yes.
talked to a therapist. I've got a game plan in place, right? And it kind of speaks to this point of not just bringing her a bunch of problems, but bringing her your heart and saying, here's where I am, and I'm doing the work on this. I think that could be a big difference. Like you're taking responsibility for this. Part of that, as discussed here today, could be getting into community. I recommend even potentially, if you're feeling like there's no way I can have this conversation, or I feel totally unequipped to have this conversation, consider joining community ahead of time. Come join us
Mm-hmm.
inside the community, right? You've got a community of men who can counsel you on this, who can support you on this, who can help get your game plan together around this, and then go have your conversation, right? That
That
kind of
is
lends that.
exactly what I did, Matt.
Yeah, exactly.
It, like after I realized, it's like, oh, I am doing the work to heal
Mhm,
myself. Because my story is I joined the Liberation Bootcamp,
mhm.
honestly, without any hope for myself, trying to
Yep,
figure out how to help my kids. And then
yep,
as I discovered recovery inside of the boot camp, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to work.
yep.
I'm experiencing it. And that's when I was able to approach my wife and say, hey, uh, can we talk about this?
Right.
Because I need to share what's going on in my life so that you know me fully. This is the work that I'm doing. I had already taken ownership of it at that point. So I was able to come to it from a place of, I recognize this is my problem, not yours. You don't have this,
Mhm.
nothing you did is making me use porn.
Yep.
It's my own thing. Here's the work that I'm doing. Here's the men that I'm surrounding myself with. And
Yep.
I am committed to this recovery journey. I
Yeah.
am going to work on healing myself.
Yep. I think that's the distinction between like bringing her solutions versus bringing her
Hmm.
problems. You know, hey, this is the reality of where I'm at. Take it or leave it, but I'm doing the work around it, and I've got a solution. At least I'm working on a solution. You know, I think that could be a big difference in this conversation. And the final piece I wanted to offer is this is, as Yeadon mentioned, this could be like tossing a hand grenade into the relationship, and especially depending on the severity or maybe what you've gotten yourself into, or the kind of stuff you're getting into, or the consequences you might be dealing with. Like, who knows where you could be when you're tuning into this, brother, and like where it is in the timing for your readiness or the need to have this conversation. I do want to offer that sometimes like there is such thing as what's called a therapeutic disclosure. And sometimes depending on the severity of the situation, some couples choose to have this conversation with like in the presence of a mediator or a therapist that can help kind of guide and navigate this conversation. Now, I don't recommend this necessarily for everybody. Again, this is where being like something like being a member of our community could kind of help you decide what's going to be the best approach here. But some men, because of the severity of the situation or just the dynamics within the relationship, might choose to disclose or have this conversation, or what they're going to disclose within the presence of a mediator or a therapist. That might be the healthiest way to do it, like a referee for the conversation, if you will. Yeah.
So it doesn't just turn into a fisticuffs.
Yeah, like you're unskilled, you're unprepared, and it just turns into something that drives a deeper wedge in the relationship.
I don't have the book on my bookshelf right here, but this is a crucial conversation.
Yes.
And if you are not ready for a crucial conversation, it will blow up in your face.
Yeah. So strategy is important.
You have to take this seriously. You have to approach it with intention, and you have to be deliberate and intentional about how you approach this. Because I can tell you, this conversation will be hard. And if you screw it up, the stakes are high. The stakes are high in this conversation. But it will be one of the steps toward healing for both of you. For both of you. So, bro, you're here listening to the podcast, you're like, I don't know what to do. If you want support, guidance, a roadmap for this journey, please check us out, porntopurpose.com. Get on a call with me, get on a call with Matt, totally confidential. We can talk about where you are on the journey, what has worked, what hasn't. See if the Liberation Bootcamp can help you in the next step of overcoming your porn addiction. You don't have to carry this burden alone. There are men with really strong shoulders that can help carry this with you. Check us out, porntopurpose.com. Book a call with me, book a call with Matt. Our calendars are there. Learn about the boot camp. We want you to experience the same freedom that we've been able to create in our lives. If you're married, I want you to have the same connection with your wife. I want you to have the connection with your wife that you dreamt of when you first got married. It is totally possible. My connection with my wife is better than ever after almost 20 years of marriage. It's amazing. Don't live in the darkness by yourself, brother. Reach out. We want freedom for you. This is heavy stuff, bro.
Man, beautiful conversation, brother.
But important stuff. The heavy stuff is the important stuff.
Yes.
All right, man. We will see you in the next episode.
Yes.
We are your hosts, Matt and Yeadon, talking about everybody's favorite topic, porn and the recovery journey. Keep doing the work, brother.
Yes.
We are noble men.
We are noble men. Peace, power. Goodbye.